Okay, hopefully that is working. All right, welcome to the CAVS for Watercraft webinar. I appreciate you all joining. All right, I'm going to go into here and start the slideshow. All right. All right, CAVS for Watercraft. This is going to be a little different. We create products. This is our first product that we think are appraisal-worthy assessments of future things like that. So let's go into it. All right, so first off, it's a little bit of an agenda. There's some housekeeping. I may have to mute everybody. If you're not muted, please mute. The other part on housekeeping is I may not know who you are, so if this was forwarded to you, please send me an email to say, hey, you want more information or something, or a recording for somebody who wasn't available. Please send me that. We're going to have two polls. I want to know what you guys are thinking, and I would love for you to answer the polls. I'm going to do like a slideshow presentation of some things about us and whatnot, and then I'm actually going to demonstrate it, and hopefully that answers a lot of questions when I start to show it. But at any time during doing this, before I get to the questions at the end, you can submit questions into the chat, and there's on top of that, there's also just the chat. You can say, hey, I got a question, but there's also a chat part as well for in there for if you want to for questions alone, if you want to do that. And hopefully Victoria and the rest of the team are monitoring all of those pieces, and then I'll try to answer the questions during breaks and then especially at the end. All right, now the other part is when we started to do this, a lot of our products right now are geared towards the business personal property team or the real property team in a business. I mean, in an assessor's shop, because we do assessors, appraisers, those kind of customers. But on the when we were doing this for Watercraft, we found that there were a number of states that don't have a business personal property tax, but they do tax Watercraft annually. So I'm hoping people from New Jersey showed, and some other states that we're actually not in yet. And so if you are, please like do a little shout out later on that you're here. That would be great. All right, so let's get into it. So let me slide down. Okay, so like I said, there's a bunch of states that we're not doing business with, and so they may not be aware of who Reason Consulting is. We've been in business since 2022, and we have quickly expanded into 16 states. We have a huge team. We have an office also in Michigan. We do a lot of things at the state level in Michigan now, around homestead exemption audits and things like that. We do if you were to take all the things that we're doing, they're really kind of broken out into two big things. One of them at the bottom, you can see TaxScribe. TaxScribe is our data management platform for taking your business personal property forms and making them electronic, paperless. And as soon as you make those things paperless, you're going to want a data management platform that can handle communication in two different ways with the filer. You're also going to want to be able to track all of those forms for all the years that you've been, they have people that were filing. It's an incredibly feature-rich product. And what we're doing on TaxScribe, which is totally different, is we're going national with it. We're doing all the states. By June 1, we will be done 37 states plus DC of all the forms. And we're going to embark on doing all the sales and use tax for all 50 states plus DC. We've already done North Carolina sales and use tax, and this enormous, awesome interface for the super filers, the accounting firms, the national brands, because when we talked to like the big accounting firms like the KPMGs, they were like, what we want is something we can have all our data. We want it to be national, and a whole bunch of other things that we built for them. So imagine that we have an awesome interface for the government interface, but now we're we're going to be national, and I think that's going to be really awesome on that side. And then audit aware, the second big thing that we're doing is we look at the problems that the assessing community has, and we're like, hey, let's build you tools where you can audit yourself, or it'll help you manage, track the audits and things like that. So not only will we make it more efficient to do this kind of audit thing, we can also help you track it. And we're now partnering with TMA, so we can also add in some service to it as well. Blah, blah, blah. It's super exciting. If you want any kind of demo on all the kind of other things that we do, just give me a shout out. It's all super cool. So one of those products, let me go down. One of those products that is in 16 states is CAVS for Business. This is a super popular product. This CAVS for Business, people love it. What it does is it allows you to create an assessment for a non-compliant business, if you were to start a dialogue with a business. And we have templates for over 450 business types. Now, it allows you to create an assessment to send to them to start this dialogue. Now, what it does is, like if we were to identify, like if you wanted to send an assessment to a food truck, well, the typical assets of a typical food truck would be generator, point of sale system, a sink, grill. They would have a fire extinguisher, those types of assets, and we provide those values. But it's not specific enough because, man, any food truck in your jurisdiction might be different. So, for instance, if that food truck did barbecue, they may have a smoker that they tag along with the food truck, and that's not typical. And so you can add it in this, but it's not what we're creating with CAVS for Business is not an appraisal. It's more of an assessment tool to help you start a dialogue. We were asked from our customers on CAVS for Business, hey, could you do CAVS for watercraft? Could you do CAVS for RVs and aircraft and whatnot? So we looked at it and we said, all right, again, let's look at doing CAVS for watercraft. So the first thing that we did when thinking about doing CAVS for watercraft was, well, what we're going to need is good data. So the first thing we did is, all right, let's look at some watercraft data. Who's best? And what pops up is, well, the NADA, I'm not sure if it's called NADA or whatever, but it was bought by JD Power, was the best. So that was the best source of this data. And so we went to them and said, hey, can we get an arrangement where we could power CAVS for watercraft with JD Power data? Because we want to do something that's like superior in the market. So you can see all the bullets there of the JD Power data, and how often that they're releasing new data into their values and their models. It really is the gold standard of data. So that was the first part. Like, okay, let's get a data source. Then the second is, how are we going to figure out how to put this all together, which is like, how would our customers use it, which is going to get to our first poll question. So let's go back to, I'm going to launch a poll question here. All right, so this first poll question, and let me launch it. Hopefully this works. Hopefully you guys can see the first poll question. It reads, do you currently batch or research one at a time when you're determining value? So when we were creating this, we envisioned doing both. Like, we think our customer base is going to, say, hey, I have 10,000 watercraft, and I would like to know the values of these 10,000 watercraft plus these details. And then we were like, well, maybe they'll do it one at a time, where they'll say, hey, I want to look them up one at a time, and is there a way to do that, et cetera, et cetera. So please use this, because this will help us as we're adding features and functionality. Like I said, our CTO is on this webinar, and we're looking for We're looking for those kinds of results so that it drives, which features, functionality, our product roadmap that we would want to do. All right. So I'm going to go back to the presentation. It looks right now that so far there's only one vote for both, and there are 4 votes for one at a time. And hopefully you guys are figuring it out. I'll come back to this readout by the end, but at this point, that's what it's looking like. So let me go back to the presentation. Okay, so okay, so I'm back in the presentation. All right, so we wanted to power it with JD Power data. And then what we wanted to do was, okay, will our customers use it as a batch where they'll say, hey, I'm going to give you 10,000 boats and I want you to give me the values in return, or would they want to search it one at a time? And so we wanted to create something that that you could be able to do kind of both. So what we did is we had a product that we were already have in 7 states currently. We call it Case Manager. And Case Manager, this is the standard view of Case Manager. And right now, if you can see the little bit of writing that's there, it's on businesses. So this tool is what we have another product in the market where it was to help jurisdictions canvas for new and closed businesses, and it took data. It's super cool. It drives efficiencies around that, and we were using Case Manager to track all of those cases because our first customers we were telling them which businesses were new, which ones were closed in the jurisdiction, and other things, and they were then using paper to track everything. And so we were like, okay, what we need to do is build a Case Manager so that our customers can work things in a tool that allows you to do so much more than just track it on paper. And it allows the manager to be able to track what's going on with their staff. And shout out to Stephanie in Norfolk. She's in this every day. Like I said, we have customers in 7 states now giving us all kinds of feedback on this product. And so what we thought was, if we're going to build Watercraft, this would be the thing we're going to try to put it into as one of the modules, if you will, of Case Manager. So let's scroll down. All right, so now this is Case Manager with Watercraft in it. And what you can see here is, and maybe it's a little small, but you can see that there's some Watercraft, and you can piece it together and track it and whatnot. And then it will allow you that if you gave us a batch or a bulk processing of, let's say, 10,000 boats, then we could run it all that data, and then we would load it up into Case Manager, and you're assign it to different people in your staff, and you could work them or do things with it that you will. And then as a manager, you would know they're all being worked, but you would also be able to do it one at a time. All right, so let me see if I have okay, well, that's the scenario. So let's go into actually the product, and then I'm going to do a scenario. Okay, so let's go into Case Manager. And are there any questions? Should I pause for anything, or any questions, Victoria, anything like that? Okay, well, I just want to let you know on the poll, so far there's 14 votes. 7 are one at a time, and 7 are both batch and one at a time. So look at that. Thank you for voting. Okay, so now let me go into Case Manager. Okay, so let's go. So you can still see my screen, yes, hopefully. All right, so let's go into Case Manager here, and let's go into the view. All right, so what you're looking at here, now this is Case Manager, and let me try to orient you to what you're looking at. So up here are a bunch of buttons, and I'm going to go through those in a second. And up here are filters. And imagine that as cases come in, they will come in like this. And the case type that we're looking at is Watercraft. But what I'm looking at right now are the marinas in my fictitious jurisdiction here. And the marinas that I have is Slate Rock and Gravel Marina, Bikini Bottom Marina, and Simpsons Marina. Those are my 3 marinas. And these marinas have this as an NAICS number, and there's their website, and there's an assignee. This is the workers at the jurisdiction. In this case, these are Reason employees. There's Adam and I'm the Andy here, and then extra information. And inside the Watercraft, where these are the marinas. Let's look at the different boats that are in there, the different watercraft that are in each of the marinas. So we have in Slate Rock Marina. Now, of course, if you have like 10,000 boats, this would have 10,000 here, but this is what I've created to show what we're looking at. In the Slate Rock Marina, you have a bunch of different boats owned by Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble and Mr. Slate. And then in the Bikini Bottom Marina, you got SpongeBob SquarePants' boat, Patrick Starr's boat, Sandy Cheeks' boat, Plankton's boat, also Mermaid Man. And then there's the Simpsons Marina. Krusty the Clown is in Simpsons Marina. And so the data got loaded up, and then you can see the status. So some are in progress. Here's one in progress. This other in progress. It looks like Adam, what he's working is in progress, and Chester's is completed. Now, I'm looking at it in the night view. So let's
Hey, Andy.
Yeah.
Andy, real quick, Adam had a question.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I'm Adam Reason, CTO. I just wanted to throw out there real quick. I know Andy has these organized by marinas, but I wanted to point out that our system is flexible to organize them however you like. We felt like marinas was a good way to demonstrate this, but our system can be organized by the teams that work on things, by however you want to group your subjects. So it could be a boat by boat owner and all their boats over years. It could be by marina, or any other criteria that you want, and then you can group all of your appraisals inside of that. I think Andy was going to switch us over to light mode next, which we were debating adding a poll about, but I'll let Andy get back to it, and thanks for letting me interrupt you there.
No, I appreciate it. Adam is my phone a friend, so is Chester. They can interrupt anytime if I haven't covered something. There's imagine that the case manager tool, like when I did the shout out to Stephanie from Norfolk, she's in it doing business things every day, because this tool was built so that you could, rather than managing different audits, investigations, or cases of any kind on rather than doing it on paper, why not do it electronically? Imagine that if one of your people wins the lottery or retires, and you can then assign the work that they're on to somebody else. There's all kinds of really cool features and functionality in Case Manager. It's its own 50-minute demonstration, and so it's really so yes, it's very flexible, and so thank you, Adam. All right, so you can sort things too. If you're just like, hey, I want to do the ones that are completed at the top, and of course I changed it from night view to day view so that you could see different views of the thing as well. Some people like the night view. And so then we're looking at, well, clearly Chester is completed something because, he's the kind of person that is, is getting onto his work, much quicker than I have. And so he's already worked it. And as we go through, I can click this quick edit and I can see something pop up and change it, or I can go into what Chester was working on. It was at the Slate Rock and Gravel Marina, and he was doing a watercraft. It's completed. He's got all this information in here. And so you've got what he's built out on the contacts is Barney Rubble and Betty Rubble own the boat. Here's their information to call them or to reach them in some fashion. He can edit any of these things as he goes. So his, of course, is moved to completed, but he can have it as in progress or new. Like I said, we can do any kind of audit or inspection or appraisal or anything on this one. But in this case, I've created, it's a watercraft. It's an annual case. I'm not going to save anything here, but let's just go on. And then he can, of course, edit the contacts if he got anything wrong. He can edit the contacts here, and he can, of course, he's got a note. Let's look at his note. I completed all of mine. I bet Lazy Andy hasn't even started his. Thanks, Chester. So, I mean, I can add a note to his if I want to. You know, thanks a lot. Right, and then I can hit save. And so now you can see that we can add notes to this stuff. He's also, there's an attachment spot where he's attached. Let's take a look at what he's attached. He's attached a picture of the boat to it. Okay, so that's nice. All right, so, and then down here you can see the other boat, the boats that are in this marina. And then you can see the details of the watercraft here at the bottom. So there's this watercraft had a bunch of things in it that were the selected options of the, you know, essentially the whistles and bells. This is a 2014 Partycraft 240 CR, and here's the price report. Now this is an average, this is a high retail, this is a trade-in price, this is the suggested list. There was no engine price adjustment. And if you want to know details about which one you would want to choose, for instance, the pricing guidelines are listed down here at the bottom. Now, I just wanted to like touch in on what was going on and how this was organized. And let me go back to the presentation. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a scenario. So hopefully this entertains. So let's say there's a scenario where someone down at Simpson's Marina knows there's a big boat that isn't registered and calls the office number. And then if Victoria comes off mute, she'd say, you know, snitches get stitches. But in this case, someone is snitching on someone who's got a boat that's not registered down at the marina. And so you go down to the marina and you take these pictures of this boat. And when you come back, you see on the thing, it's a Schaefer 400 yacht. Okay, so that's what we want to do. We want to create a Schaefer 400 yacht. So let's go back to Case Manager. Now remember, let's pretend these were already uploaded, and they were uploaded because it was due to a batch, and there could have been 10,000 of them. And that's great, but this time what we're going to do is we're going to create one on its own. And so let's go to here. And so we want to put it in Simpson's Marina. So let's add one to Simpson's Marina. All right, so let's scroll down and let's add one. So I'm going to hit this little plus sign here. And I'm going to add a case. It's a Watercraft. This one, it's new, and this is going to be an annual thing. And there's an option to put a case schedule date, confirmation sent, documents received from the person. But I'm going to get to that later. Assignee, I'm going to assign it to myself. Now, the location is same as the subject. So this address, if I clicked off it, I could change it, but I know it's at this marina at this address. So I'm going to save that. And now I've saved. And now I'm creating this case here where I have this Watercraft. And what we found out by when we looked it up was we found out that the boat was owned by C. Montgomery Burns in Simpson land. So what we're going to do is the contacts here, we're going to edit this, and we're going to add Charles Montgomery Burns. His address is actually, you can look this up, you guys, Simpson fans. This is his real address. Mammon Lane. And then, of course, I live in Virginia, so I'm, of course, going to use Alexandria. But it's really Springfield. But just bear in mind, this is a fictitious thing. And we're going to say Virginia. 302. And then if I had a phone number and email, I will put that there. But in this case, I don't have it just yet. If there's a secondary contact, I would add it here. This would be for Mr. Smithers, maybe. or whoever. Like earlier, I showed Barney Rubble and Betty Rubble, but in this case, I only have Charles Montgomery Burns. I'm gonna hit save, and now I'm starting to fill out his information. I can upload my attachments here. So here's my pictures. I've already gone down and taken some pictures. If I click here, I can go in and grab the pictures that I took. So let's take those and add those. All right, now those are here. So if I want to check to make sure that they got done, I'll just click and say, okay, here's the picture. Now this helps me out. I took a picture so that I can actually start to identify some of the items on that boat for when I actually want to create the assessment or the appraisal. So as I go down, you'll see here's the part for Watercraft. Let's add the Watercraft. All right, so now we are accessing JD Power's data. Boom. And so first off, here's all alphabetically all of the hulls. So this one was a Schaefer 400, I believe. And it's a yacht. And let me just tell you, as I was searching this thing, I'm not a boat guy, but I'm starting to become one. Here he says go down. Let's get all the way to Schaefer. Like I said, it's got a lot of options because there is Schaefer yachts. So it's a Schaefer yacht. Now it was a 2023. So let's click that. And then when I click the year, all the options pop up for which option that might be. Now remember, it was a Schaefer 400. Now, if I go down, I'll see two Schaefer 400s. One is stern drive. The other is stern drive power boat. Let's see. Oh, here it is. And then this one. So it's three, actually. I'm sorry. And then there's an outboard boat. This is where the engine's on the outside. And then this stern drive is the engine's on the inside. So if I were to click this, which is, you can see that there's no engine option. It goes right to this because the engines are internal and you bought it as part of the package. And in this case, that's actually not what I want to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clear this because I was wrong. So when I hit clear, I can go back and say, no, this one has an outboard motor. So I'm going to select the 400 with the asterisk. And when I do that, you can see an engine options popped up. And I'm like, okay, this one had, if you remember the picture, which is right here, it had engines on the outside and they're whatever those engines are. I'm sure those of you who are motormen or motorwomen, you know exactly all that, but I'm not that aware. All right, so let's pick an engine of which one it was in the picture. And it was the 300. So we picked that one. And then also here's to choose the options for the whistles and bells. So if I click on canvas, all the different options for the canvas pop up, and it's not a Bimini top. It's let me see. And then I think when I went down to take the picture, for instance, I thought the boat cover was here, and they also had a bridge enclosure. So I can click those two, and then let's click the electronics. I think it looked like it had the autopilot there, and there's no fish finding on this, but it did have GPS and radar. And then let's go into entertainment, and of course it had the DVD player with the big TV. And there's no fishing going on this boat, but they did have on the galley. They had a bar and a dishwasher, and they had a no fish box, but they had a whatever all the things that you saw on the boat to put the whistles and bells, right? So this one had a trash compactor and a ice maker combo refrigerator. You see it on the jet drive. Nothing miscellaneous optional equipment. Of course, they had air conditioning, and they had the cockpit heaters and all the whistles and bells here of this. And hard top this, and as you go down, and then on the personal watercraft, they didn't have any of these things. And it's not a pontoon boat option, nor the ski boat option. Let's see, that any of the wakeboard towers or the light speakers. And if you think you've clicked all the whistles and bells that you would have picked, but I wanted to show you all the different options. Then you can calculate totals. And it started to calculate that this is a pretty expensive boat. I'd have to say it's in the yacht class, right? So here it is with that enormous suggested list. And then that looked new. So like you could say, hey, I'm thinking this had a high retail value. It didn't look like average. But either way, there it is. And if you're happy with what you have, you can hit save. And now this information has populated into your Charles Montgomery Burns boat, where he had not registered, and you could do a one at a time. And then what you have in cases is you starting to build out this cases. And now you can see here's Charles Montgomery Burns's boat that you've added. And if, let's say you're doing 10,000 and you want to try to find it, well, we put all those things in here so that you could, at any time, so you want to, like, primary name, I want to find the thing I was working on with, that was Charles's, and you can just type that in, and it will pull up those kinds of things. So if you're like, oh, I was working with somebody named Krusty. Oh, here it is, Krusty the Clown. So you can find anything, and you can search this to find any of the, let's say you're doing 10,000. So you have a lot in here, and we want to make it so that you could add filters to find anything or change your view. So that it is totally customizable, the case manager, of how you wanted to view it. And then as you change your view, you can make it a favorite, and then I can just click on it and say, here's my view of, for instance, this is my favorite view of looking at Watercraft. And if I want to look at marinas, I just click my favorite view of looking at marinas, and it changes to that favorite view. There's just so many features and functionality in Case Manager. I don't want you to think that I want Adam to jump back on and say there's this and we can do that. There's a ton of things that we can do. And of course, once you're done, you can export and download it as a CSV and send out mailings or do all kinds of other different things with it. But either way, that was the idea behind it. All right, so what we did is I wanted to show that it had not only like bulk and then where to track them, but also one at a time with all different kinds of features and functionality. So that as a manager, you would know that they're getting done. You can track that work. If someone leaves, you can assign it to somebody else. And as an individual person going into the system and working it, you know that everything is in there. You can find it. It's not on pieces of paper all loose leaf, and you're trying to track what you did with something. And did someone work on Charles Montgomery Burns's boat? And you can know where you are at any time, add notes, update, send things, and as you reach out to Burns and they come back with an appeal, you could put your notes and you could track all of those things in the case manager. So let's go back to the presentation. This was what we were envisioning for like CAVS for Watercraft, right? We wanted to grab the most powerful data. We wanted to grab the best interface and put them together so that you could do batch or one at a time lookup. Now, you might have questions about well, what's on the product roadmap? We're adding in the next couple of weeks, we're adding engines where you can add and subtract engines from it, trailers, a PDF view as well, so that you could generate a PDF and do things with that. Also regionalization. So if you want to have the values according to certain areas. So if you're like, I'm from this area of the country and I think our boat values are higher than this, and you want to have that, we're adding a regionalization. And we're also adding, of course, but this is later, CAVS for RVs and CAVS for for aircraft. All right, so now what I want to do is go back to the poll questions, and I want to ask one more poll question, which is, now hopefully you can see it. If you only use batch, did I convince you to want to do one at a time creation of appraisals? So there was a bunch of people that only did one at a time, and hopefully I convinced you to do batch. Or if you only did that, well, no one did only batch. There it is. Maybe this question won't work. All right. Okay, so I went pretty fast, but let's go. Our last slide is this, which is our question section.